What's going on, world? It's your boy Steve Dad back with another episode along this complete fitness journey. I wanted to give you a recap of week number one. In the background, you will notice I'll kind of be working my way through a workout. I'll skip over some bits and pieces, but I'll kind of let you know what I'm doing in that as well. But let's see where to start. Well, for beginners, as you know, I've been changing the way I eat, changing the way, how active I am and things like that on a regular basis. Over the first week, or as a result of the end of the first week of just changing the way I eat, I actually ended up losing 6 pounds. Now, don't believe that that 6 pound number is like normal or average, because there really is no absolute normal or average amount. But basically, what that's mainly a result of is just changing the way that I eat. I was eating like crap, you know. And basically, by me changing my eating routine and getting back to being active and coming out at 5 o'clock in the morning, even when my little beautiful daughter, as you can see, comes out to join me doing my workout. But even making those small adjustments, it just kind of got me to the point where I just shed a lot of that unnecessary weight that I was carrying. For me, my goal isn't to lose a certain amount of weight. At least right now, it's not. My goal is to live a healthier lifestyle. The weight loss was just a byproduct of living that healthier lifestyle. Many of you already know this, but ultimately, when it comes to a weight loss journey, you're probably looking at roughly 75–80% of that journey is going to come down to what you're consuming. As the saying goes, you cannot outwork a bad diet. So not only is weight a factor, we also have to be mindful of our lungs and our heart and our heart strength and our overall health and wellness, especially when we have little ones. And in the ideal world and God willing, hopefully I'll be around to watch my daughter grow, to adulthood and have many years into her adult life as well. Speaking of which, one of the things that I'm a firm believer of is just kind of starting people off on a path where exercise isn't a task. And what happens with many of us, we look at exercise as a chore almost, or something that we have to do, as opposed to something that we get to do. I come out here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and my little one, she comes out and she mimics the things that I do, and it's exciting to me, and I smile because my fitness journey started when I was around 5 years old. And quick backstory, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but basically years ago there was this show called Mouserciser that came up on the Disney Network. That came on the Disney Network, and they played it. I think it was 6 a.m. It came on 5 or 6 a.m. But basically, the only room in our house that had Disney was my parents' room. And what I used to do is Monday through Friday, I would always wake up and I would go in there and I would do the Mousercise. And the funny thing is, like, you were exercising with like Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald Duck, but one of the most memorable parts was like the guy on the show, his name was Steve. So every time they said something, or every time Mickey was like, "Come on, Steve," anything like that, in my mind, I felt like they were talking to me, So, but that goes back to, exercise was introduced to me as something fun and enjoyable, just as much as, within reasons and where I feel it's safe. I let my daughter come out here and do things with me, because to her, I want her to have that same association with exercise being fun and enjoyable, and not a chore, but something that's a privilege, something that you get to do. Kind of along those same lines, when you look at the associations we made over the years, oftentimes, especially when it comes to a weight loss journey, but oftentimes, with consumption being 80% of our journey, we default back to the things that we were taught when we were younger. So if you think about it, let's say when you were in elementary school, or maybe middle school or whatever, and let's say you did great in school, you got straight A's, right? How did you celebrate? Right? You maybe went out and had ice cream. Your birthday comes around. How do you celebrate? Cake and ice cream. You play sports and you have a great game. What do you do to celebrate? Hey, let's go have a pizza party. So what happens is over the course of our lifetime, starting at a young age, we make these associations with food as being a reward. So as we get older and we become adults, and maybe we feel like we did a great day at work, or maybe had a difficult day at work, but we begin looking for that comfort. Like, how do we reward ourselves? And oftentimes that comes down to, hey, you know what? I'll eat something, right? Which is often something that's maybe satisfying to the palate, and that becomes our go-to. And then that once that becomes a habit, we start having those cravings because of the bad gut bacteria that we have. Not referencing a good gut bacteria, but we start having those cravings and things like that, and then it just gets to the point where we look up one day and where we've gained an additional X amount of pounds, whatever that number may be, right? So I think it's important that not only do we work on ourselves, but also our children. Like, if you have children, make certain that the things that you're making available to them, right, are encouraging them to live a healthy lifestyle. Um, Really quick, I'm going to digress. So, because I want to give you an overview of the workout that I'm doing throughout the video, but basically, I done my usual 5-minute general warm up, which I essentially did every day. After that, I done a little bit of core work. I think I was doing 3 weight crunches on the physio ball, and then I'll get into my routine, which is pretty much leg day, more emphasis placed on my quads. Um, Always happy to have my helper out here with me. Like, she's excited. You see her there bouncing. You can kind of see her bouncing on the Bosu ball. And, like I said, I try to make sure it still remains a safe environment for her, but I don't want her to be discouraged by the gym or intimidated by it. So um, give me a second. I'm going to reset up the camera, and then I'll be back rolling. All right, that should do it. Just making a couple adjustments. I wanted to kind of position the camera so that while I'm doing these squats, I guess for you also, but while I'm doing these squats, I really enjoy utilizing these videos to check out my form and technique. I've been working on, well, I need to get back to working on my mobility. I realize it's been something that's been a issue that kind of dates back to me spending a lot of years lifting with no stretching whatsoever because I mean, in all honesty, I thought I was too cool to do stretching. I just wanted to bulk up or look strong or run fast so yeah, here I am years later and I realized, like, man, I probably should have done more stretching. In fact, I remember being at the gym and seeing like older, or at the time who I consider older guys kind of off in a corner, or like they'll warm up and they'll spend like 15, 20-minute stretch. I used to think, man, that's a waste of time. But now, later on in life, I get it. I get why that's so important and so significant. But yeah, I'm just kind of setting up for barbell back squats, making a few adjustments. As you notice, again, my daughter, she's very curious, right? And my ultimate goal is, like, I really want her to see the gym as like a happy place, a happy space, and maybe somewhere she can remember, like, hey, I used to go out and work out with my dad, and maybe once I'm no longer here, she'll stumble across his YouTube channel and she'll be able to see, like, oh, check me out. I've been doing this. I see why I love health and wellness and why I value it so much. It's ultimately about, what do they say? Adding quality to our years, and making sure we live a qualitative life uh, on a physical and wellness standpoint. There's many different forms of ways of defining that, but oh yeah, this is a little mini barbell set that we picked up for her. She likes doing what I'm doing. So I try to find different exercises and things like that that she's able to utilize in order to remain and stay active. So, but yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying. So yeah, we really have to be mindful about the associations we make in life, especially what we're teaching our children, because they tend to stick with us for years. Doesn't mean those habits can't be broken, but it just tends to, at least from my understanding, it seems like it just takes a lot more work when something's been a habit and maybe you've done it for, 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it's like you're telling your body you want to do something completely different. So my goal with this video series is for it to be educational, informative, and to some extent motivational. Of course, motivation doesn't last forever, but even if it gets somebody to take that first step, then I feel like it was definitely worth me taking the time to make these videos. So if these videos have been an inspiration to you, if you found that you've maybe taken that first step towards your fitness journey, do me a favor and like reach out and let me know. And like I said, I'm greatly appreciative of all involvement, interactions I've had with people, and I would love to hear some feedback. Again, my goal is to positively impact the lives of others. That's what I want to be the measuring stick. When I leave here and people are kind of trying to determine like what value did he bring to this world.